Good morning, everyone. Video 27. All right, I'm in Canada for a 4-day yoga retreat, and although you can't see my face very well, I thought I'd give you a new view than my kitchen, refrigerator, and freezer, right? All right, so this video, it's so good, you guys. The lessons are so good in the last few months, and this has really been since February, where I've been highly aware. So I talk about intuition a lot, or being in flow, or being in tune. February 10th, remember, is that it totally knocked me off of my stability rocker when it comes to being in tune. I had lost it. It was like the dog, and then my health, and there was just like 5 things that happened, and it just I fell off a chair, you guys, and it's just been this process of climbing back on. So one of them was the house thing, right? So you guys, there's this process of me talking about, should we move, should we not move? We love our house, but we'd like to be about 20 miles east, and 20 miles east when you're from northern Minnesota is no big deal. 20 miles east, sometimes when I live in vacation, capital of Northwest Florida, can sometimes be an hour and a half, right? So there was this house, remember, that we offered and got counter-offered and offered and got counter-offered last month. And here's one story, you guys, that I don't think I've talked about yet. So remember, we say, okay, this is our last offer, and we offer on the house, right? They come back a day and a half later, you guys, and they ask for just a little bit more money. And in the whole scheme of how much this house costs, it's really not that much. So we could have been like, for sure, it's no big deal. At that point, though, this is us tuning in and becoming self-aware. Is this possibly a sign that we need to go take a look just one more time? So remember, we go take a look. We're out on the dock. Jason says, oh my gosh, if we see a dolphin, we're buying the house. We see the flippin' dolphin, but intuitively, we're not quite feeling it because the amount of money that we'd have to put into a remodel. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Our realtor, Jody, who is just a really great friend of ours, is like, maybe the dolphin just means it's a good sign. I'm like, yes, maybe the dolphin just means it's a good sign. So then the following Sunday, we're driving around, and we're looking for land, right? I'm like, I'm just going to find the plat map for this county. I'm going to find land. So we find all these land options and call our realtor. Jody makes a phone call to a few. And one, we totally thought we hit the jackpot, right? We're like, okay, the land is owned by a builder, and we really, really love this builder. I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe he's building a spec home. Maybe he'd sell us the lot, right? So Jody calls. We were out of town at a big conference for our company. Jody calls. We get on the phone with the builder. He's just an awesome human, right? So he's just kind. He's like, actually, it's my lot. It's for my house. I'm building it. I love that community. We're like, okay. But I'm like, okay, so here's the deal. There are like 8 or 10 lots on the water, you guys, we want waterfront, in this community. None are for sale. So I said, do you happen to know any of these people? If you know any of these people, would you be willing to make, he goes, because he's lived in there before. He goes, I know the community well. My first house was in here. I love the community. That's why I'm coming back. He's like, let me just make a few phone calls. He's like, 2 lots just sold in May. I'm like, I know, right? He's like, well, let me just make a few phone calls and let me see, if there's anything I can do. So you guys, he just calls. And this is just the whole, you never know what something leads to something, leads to something, leads to something. Jason and I just reflect, okay, this one house we kept offering and counter-offering, offering and counter-offering. Do you get, we weren't super yes, this is it, right? So the learning in that is, we just talked about this last night. We're we kind of knew because we both weren't wildly excited, okay? And then this builder calls, he's like, okay, so I have someone, they'll sell you the lot. You got to do it in 30 days, right? And we'll sell you the lot, but you have to use us to build, which is, he's an awesome builder. So, and again, I don't know what the outcome is going to be with this. So I'm not attached. The thing is, I just want to say, when you follow your intuition and things feel good and they're downstream and they flow, right? Whatever you guys want to call it. When things are like ding, 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 right? So some of you guys own businesses with us, right? And you look for locations and you're like ding, 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 ding. It just all fell into place. It was so easy. And some of you guys, you look for your commercial location and you're resistant, up a wall, upstream, resistant, a lot of money, 100-year lease, right? And it feels really upstream. So, and I'm not saying that those aren't the right locations, but those are possibly signs that might be diverting you in another direction. So the builder calls. He's like, it's this much money, which we knew. And so we're like, well, how big of a house? Are there limitations? How long it would take to build? And you guys, he gets back to us within hours. We get back to him within hours. And you guys, it just feels flowy. Does that make sense? So Jason always says to me, in one word, how does it feel? I'm like, great. In one word, what do you want to do? Move forward. Now, it doesn't mean close the deal, because you might encounter something else that might shift to upstream or might shift and it's totally a showstopper. But right now, you guys, how funny is it that, so we call our realtor last night. We're like, okay, here's the deal. Say no to the final offer. So, oh, they came back. Did I tell you guys this? The initial house, you guys, that we were offering, counter-offering. 1 week later, we said no, right? 1 week later, they come back. So they come back and they offer us. And Jody, our realtor's like, well, never had this happen before. So they come back, you guys. They offer us. We've been sitting on it now for about a week and a half, just because we've been at this big conference with our company, and we just we're like, okay, we really need to be present. We're trainers. We have a lot of our team here. We just want to be present in the moment with our team. And so just last night, Jason's like, it's too upstream and we're too uncertain, right? To spend the money on a house, you guys, we're too uncertain. And the minute we close that off, isn't that funny? The minute we close that off this morning, a builder calls and has an option for us. So my whole thing is, you guys, because something is downstream just means listen, become self-aware. It was my word of the year last year in 2018. Become self-aware to listen. And it doesn't mean that that's going to be the final answer. Remember, it might lead you to one direction, to another direction, to another direction. You might come out to a roadblock that becomes upstream and then it shifts you downstream again. And it might be 6 steps away. The thing is, just become self-aware enough, right, to attempt to follow the flow.